Trump was in Cleveland. This is the day after the convention, after his speech. And we have been lamenting for a long time that he's just not funny anymore, in addition to on top of actually being terrifying.
Right.
But they got him, and the best part, and people subscribe to our YouTube channel because you definitely will want to see the visual of this. As always now, the best part of Trump is Mike Pence's face while he listens. But this is pretty great. This is pretty great. This is Trump talking about Cruz not endorsing him, and then he pivots into, actually, I think Heidi's the best part of him. I think she's great. And then that pivots into, basically Rafael Cruz is a lovely man, but there are questions. So let's take a listen to this.
I didn't start anything with the wife. A PAC, which he's very friendly with, released a cover story on my wife, who was a tremendously successful and elegant model. And she was on the cover of GQ magazine. I think it was GQ, right? A GQ magazine's not exactly Penthouse. But she was on the cover of GQ magazine, an artsy picture. But, that's why she was a model, really successful. She didn't need to marry me. She was making a lot of money, believe me. In fact, I had to work hard to get her to marry me. It wasn't that easy. It's true.
Not a date rape drugs.
That's so true.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
think I'm kidding? So
I had to actually
they released
destroy her
this picture,
career.
which was,
I had to call every
to
editor I knew.
the people of the state of Utah. I love Utah. I love the people of Utah. But that's not where you want to necessarily send a risque picture. Everybody in Utah got a picture. And I don't think
Pence
they showed that
is
it was GQ.
mid-aneurysm.
I don't even think they showed. They took the GQ off. They cut all the stuff out, so they didn't say it was a magazine cover from, a reasonably respected magazine. And it was Melania Trump. Now, and I'm saying this just to clear it up, because Ted said, he took it. I didn't do anything. Then when I saw somebody tweeted a picture of Melania and a picture of Heidi, who I think, by the way, is a very nice woman and a very beautiful woman. I have to tell you. I think Heidi Cruz is a great person. I think it's the best thing he's got going in his kids, if you want to know the
Pence
truth.
with the very strong hand clap now.
In a certain way, although he's got good intellect, but he doesn't know how to use it.
That's actually true.
And he was a good debater, but he didn't do well in the debates against me, according to every poll. I mean, every poll, just great debater, except he lost in every single poll in every single debate. So that takes care of the Heidi thing, because Heidi's a terrific woman, but they sent out. Now, he said, that was a PAC. We had nothing to do. Folks, a lot of us are political people, right? We're not babies.
He's panting.
His people were on the PAC. So he said, we had nothing to do. We had this. Now, probably you could trace it down with emails, but they're pretty smart. They don't even send, probably just phone calls.
Maybe not.
But look, it was a PAC with many of his friends. It was a Cruz super PAC. I think he even said, well, it wasn't really meant for us. It was a Cruz PAC. It was his people. Okay, so they sent out the first picture. Please remember that. Number 2, his father. I don't know his father. I met him once. I think he's a lovely guy. I think he's a lovely guy.
A lovely guy.
All I did is point out the fact that on the cover of the National Enquirer, there was a picture of him and crazy Lee Harvey Oswald having breakfast. Now, Ted never denied that it was his father. Instead, he said, Donald Trump, I had nothing to do with it. This was a magazine that, frankly, in many respects, should be very respected. They got OJ, they got Edwards, they got this. I mean, if that was the New York Times, they would have gotten Pulitzer Prizes for their reporting. I've always said, why didn't the National Enquirer get the Pulitzer Prize for Edwards and O.J. Simpson and all of these things? But anyway, so they have a picture, an old picture, having breakfast with Lee Harvey Oswald. Now, I'm not saying anything. They said, and here's how the press takes that story. So this had nothing to do with me, except I might have pointed it out, but it had nothing to do with me. I have no control over anything. I might have pointed it out. But they never denied. Did anybody ever deny that it was the father? They're not saying, oh, that wasn't really my father. It's a little hard to do, because it looks like him. So here's the story. The press takes that and they say, Donald Trump and his conspiracy theories, he went out and said his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald and he assassinated the president. What did I do? So, two things. Those were the 2 points. So on those 2 points, he said about the endorsement, yeah, and I just had it cleared up. I think I'm doing the right thing in doing it, but I have to do it. Number one, the Heidi thing you understand now. Number two, I know nothing about his father.
Back to form.
It's
all right. You can just let it sink in.
Well, if he can speak like that, he should do it all the time because his voice for the media
I
was
love his
so much better than his own voice.
His anchor impression is great. He goes, "We didn't know.
We didn't know."
Think
this is he now has sort of perfected the talk radio thing, right? I mean, this is what you do on talk radio.
Right.
This is what Rush Limbaugh does, and all the other talk radio people he probably listens to, and he does it well. I mean, his whole there's some like he's some combination of like Rush Limbaugh and Michael Savage, in the way that he goes off on tangents. He brings around his point. I mean, it's a good story. The whole thing's a good story.
It's a great story.
He is being completely frank about the things that he's talking about, right?
Right.
Where it's like he doesn't, and so of course this is going to sell in some.
I also
respects.
love the he has to add crazy Lee Harvey Oswald. Like Lee Harvey Oswald needs it's not just enough to say the guy who assassinated JFK. Like crazy Lee Harvey. I mean,
hey, you know what?
They were
I'm
having
pretty
continental
convinced
breakfast together.
There's a significant number of people who don't know who that is.
Oh, that's true. That could be true.
And so in the context of Trump's story, it's not important that they know who he is, just that he's crazy.
Right.
And so he could just say he sits with the crazy.
Right.
I mean, that's
right.
Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.